something magical with the mic, which is hold it here, right? Yeah. Righto. Well, last speaker of the night, and I'm going to start with putting a chair up here, not to sit on, but to put something there, because I got to start with a coming out, I guess. Talking about sustainable transformation tonight with you basically makes it very important for me to start with that coming out. And there's a white sheet over there, oops, on purpose. I'm holding in my hand a turd tonight. So the story tonight is about a turd. And this is not just a turd, it is a turd made from plastic. My career started, and I have to look at the young students over there, and I'm going to put it here, working with ExxonMobil. In late 1990s, that was a very cool company to work with. Coming from the Netherlands, it was the best job you could get when you graduated from uni. So I learned a lot about crude oil, how to make residue that crude oil is in plastics and that were polluting the world. That was my start of my career. But then in 2000, something happened. I thought, well, working for this big company, and again, listen to me very carefully if you're a student and if you want to work for a big company, it is pretty cool. But if you've got 100,000 other colleagues, it takes quite a while before you get some real influence. At least that was my perception of it. So after 2.5 years, I said, no, I'm going to quit. I'm going to stop working for ExxonMobil. And I called my grandmother, and she said, did you know that you have some far relatives in Australia? And I said, no, I didn't know that. Well, they run a cattle farm, so why don't you just go up there and see what they're doing? I thought that was my cue. I went out to Australia and, was there 24 years ago. And it was a beautiful moment in time. It was the year 2000. And I started to work at that cattle farm. I learned a lot about this beautiful country, about cattle farming, being a jackaroo, being a lumberjack. So a lot of beautiful things to me that happened. And then one day, one of my mates rang me and he said, Will, the Olympics are on in Sydney. I said, oh, that's cool. Why don't I just go there? He said, yeah, rock up and we'll have a beer down at the Holland Heineken House. And so we did. We rocked up here in Sydney 2000, supporting the Dutch. A very cool time, drank a lot of beer in the Holland Heineken House near the Darling Harbour. And for me, that was a beautiful moment because that's where I've met my wife, Milou. And there's actually a picture. This is almost before there was Instagram and Facebook, but we met during the Holland Heineken House. And it basically got us a dream. We wanted to live in Australia. Why? Because Holland is a very small country, 17 million people on half the size of Tasmania. So you sort of want the space, right? So we put this picture of Byron Bay on the wall and we started to make a plan. And again, this was the early 2000s. So we made it got a couple of coasters, drew out the plan and literally made a champagne plan on a beer budget. That's what it was. It took us 22 years to get there, 4 Olympics, Athens, Beijing, London, and then we had Rio de Janeiro, Tokyo, and then finally in 2022 we made it out here. We've got 4 kids, 4 teenage kids, and we told them, beautiful beaches, Australia, you'll love it. They were here, and we were going. This is what we got. February 2022, it was the worst flood ever in Australia, in the Northern Rivers where we landed. 2 things happened. My kids weren't very happy, that's one thing. And if you got 4 teenage kids and they're in Evans Head and they can't go anywhere, that was not a pretty sight. But the next thing happened is that we also saw what extreme climate weather and extreme climate conditions can do. We also helped and became the mud army and helped to clear the houses in Australia. And when you tear down Australian homes compared to Dutch homes, which are brick and concrete and strong, here you just pull down the walls, get the insulation out of it, and then, that was it. Everything was thrown in the street and brought to Brisbane and dumped in a hole. I just couldn't believe what was happening. Sustainability for me means probably different things than sustainability means for you. And I think when we're listening to all those beautiful speeches tonight, we really learn to see that there are so many aspects. And I think one of the most important things to wonder and to ask yourself is, what does it mean to me in my life, in my business, in my family, in my community? And again, if we look in Australia, one of the amazing things is, and you all experience it, it's so cold in the Australian homes, right? We're having 6 degrees in the morning where we live in the Northern Rivers, and I just don't get it. 72% of Australian homes has a 1.8 NATOS rating, which is very, very low, let me tell you that. The average home in the Netherlands has an 8 level. So it's insulated, it's 18 to 20 degrees inside, it's nice and warm. Sustainability, again, means different things to different people. So what if we could give our kids a warm home? If we could give our families a nice planet to live in? What if we can imagine the future? What if you think about your future career, you can do something about it? And keep looking at the turret, by the way. What if we would use the Sustainable Development Goals and start doing a bit of work in the built environment? Just by the numbers, it's the biggest polluter in carbon emissions, it's the biggest polluter in energy use. So if you can change the game of housing, you're actually changing a very big game. But it's a very difficult game. And the game of housing touches 7 of the Sustainable Development Goals. And by doing so, basically, you prioritize. And we've heard tonight that there are so many. It's all about trying to get the focus and do what matters to you. Australia is currently ranked 37th on the global scale. 192 countries mapped. The Northern European countries are actually at the top of the list. The Netherlands has really dropped from number 9 to number 24, so I'll be completely honest with you. We're not doing a good job anymore, so I won't be bragging how good the Dutch are. Australia has climbed from 38 to 37, so you are improving. Congratulations. We started to work with a lot of industry peak bodies, businesses, and knowledge institutions in the Australian built environment. And we started to talk to them about what can we do to really make this happen. What do you need? What do you need from us to get your members or your businesses moving forward? Well, what they needed was a narrative, a story, because they acknowledged that they just didn't really know what sustainability was all about. They were very honest with us. And so were the members. What does it actually mean? They just didn't know. For a lot of people in Australia, and don't be offended, sustainability is solar panels, it's energy, and it's carbon emissions. But it's so much more. So we started to draw a charter that you could sign, commit to. So this is not a certificate, it's a story where we had 17 goals, we had 10 global impact, we even reduced it further, especially for you, up to 9. So it's about acknowledging that there's the global goals, acknowledging that there's a net zero, acknowledging that diversity is relevant and that it is urgent to start doing something, and that you should take leadership. As a student, as a business, as a community member, take leadership, educate the people around you, collaborate, and be accountable. Sign up. So we got businesses to sign up on that commitment. We used to leverage the larger industry peak bodies. They got their sponsors on board, and their sponsors started to work with their supply chains, and the network effect slowly came along. The biggest benefits for them was that they learned that sustainability is more than just carbon. Opening up and thinking bigger than that. It is more than carbon. It is a bigger picture that we really need to see in order to leverage our future. And if we look at the actual problem, we can see that the majority of businesses, Kate was talking about 20,000 businesses that are becoming mandatory in 2027. Well, good morning. We've got 2.5 million businesses in just Australia, of which the majority is small. Smaller than 215 staff, smaller than 100 staff. So we really need to up our game and get them involved and start working together to work with them. They don't know what sustainability is. They don't have the time, the resources to do that. For them, it's complex and expensive. So we need to turn that wheel around. We have to get them on the journey of sustainability maturity and just start at the beginning. Start by educating, collaborating, and working together, and slowly climbing the ladder until you reach Global Compact, until you reach the B Corp status. Because I think applause again for B Corp status and getting there, which is the top of the game. It's the Formula One, it's the Champions League of sustainability. But you just don't get there from a start. It took you 10 years building the brewery to get there. So it's a long journey, and that's okay. We're developing a common language around sustainability, and that's very important because we got to understand each other's perspectives. We got to really understand what it means to all your stakeholders and to share the progress using that language of the 17 goals. It's about being able to benchmark where you are in relationship to the people that you work with and where they stand. And it's about leading sustainability, so you can be the change you want to see. So we developed a very simple toolkit. A toolkit to benchmark yourself through a 10-minute self-assessment. Not a big process, just 10 minutes, take an assessment, commit to the action, sign the declaration, choose your priorities, and then get into it. And then you start reporting, and then you start learning, and then you start to do the projects. But it all comes from what is your motivator first. So we provide the insights to industry peak bodies, to businesses, and to all stakeholders in a transparent way so that they can find their motivators and start talking about it around the table and say, okay, this is what motivates me, that's what motivates you. So you got to do it together, and providing those insights in which SDGs matter to you in your organization, to your stakeholders, your suppliers, and your colleagues is important. And even the differences within states and gender and age matter when you're talking about sustainability, and really unpacking what that means to the people that you work with is so important to move up that ladder. So we provide insights, and we also know that the future is not tomorrow, but the future is actually now. We're in that sustainable transformation period where still a lot of businesses in Australia think capital first, profit first. In a lot of conversations that we have, is the first thing that we have to unpack is people are brought up in a society. That society was very, very, very effective and successful in the past 10 to 15 years, which means that that's the way that you're brought up. If you then start to think about, oh, maybe there's something else than just the shareholder value, that's a big step. That's step number one. So slowly we try to bring people on board on that journey, climbing the steps of the ladder, but not going straight into carbon emissions. Really trying to make you part of that journey. So think big, think long term, think about what you can contribute, but start to act small. Please team up, collaborate, 10 by 10, do the things that you can do together and have fun. Make sure to listen to others, and definitely make sure to break down the silos that still exist between businesses, in businesses, but really between governments and different stakeholders. So make sure that you lead the conversation and that you're open, empathic. Start now. Get fit, because the deadlines were already mentioned today. It's only 3 years away before the real stick comes at you, and it's only 6 years away before it's 2030. And it is even 8 years away before the next Olympics come. For me, the story about sustainable transformation really goes around this turd, as I said at the beginning. So why this turd? This turd is actually made from resin, which is recycled plastic, in a machine somewhere in the Southern Cross University in Lismore. And when I saw that turd, and when I saw what it could do, you can put this in concrete and make concrete up to 70% lighter and stronger using recycled plastic. We were talking circular economy earlier. These kinds of turds are very important for the future. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you.